Do you ever find yourself staring at the fridge or opening your pantry over and over again, not knowing what to have for dinner? Well, that problem is even more irritating when you only eat one meal a day, and that's why I ensure that I have meals that I look forward to, meals that I will enjoy, and meals that will satisfy my one meal a day by meal planning. If you constantly face not knowing what to have or not having the ingredients that you want, you're not alone. The struggle is real, and I've actually been asked to make a video about meal planning as an OMAD intermittent faster, and that's what we're here to discuss. Meal planning is one of the best ways to ensure that you always have good meals on hand, things that you're gonna be satisfied, like mentally you're gonna enjoy it, but also to hit the nutrients that you need to satisfy your cravings. All the things are gonna be hit if you take the time to meal plan. I do it on a weekly basis, but you can do whatever fits your schedule. I would find it much more difficult to be a successful OMAD intermittent faster if I didn't take the time to prepare meals and have things on hand that make my eating window enjoyable. Because when I enjoy my eating window, it's much easier for me to fast to that eating window. If starting a meal plan sounds overwhelming, don't let it be. Here are simple steps to get you started and to help you meal plan for your OMAD or for your intermittent fasting window, whether it's 2 meals or whatever it is. Meal planning is gonna help you enjoy those eating windows. So here are my suggestions. Starting with number 1, have a regular day that you meal plan every single week. It becomes routine, and then it doesn't feel like a chore. Anything that you can make routine doesn't seem hard to do eventually. It becomes part of your weekly pattern. I personally like to start meal planning Saturday nights. That gives me plenty of time to make shifts, adjustments, check what's in the pantry, check with my family before I grocery shop on Monday mornings. That's a little bit of a gap there, but it gives me time to make adjustments, and it works for us. I plan Saturday evening, and then I shop on Monday morning as my regular. Number 2, sit down with an actual pen and paper is what I like to do. You could do this electronically, but I like to have a grocery list. I write it in order of what's in my store because I shop at the same Aldi every single week. I know the order of my items, and as I think of them, I can put them in order, I can make adjustments, I can write notes, and I write my meals on the corner here and all my grocery items over here, and then if there's something I know I need that I can't get at Aldi, I write it over here. Right when I start writing, I just brainstorm ideas. So I might write down 10 different meal ideas. I go to Pinterest if I need to, cookbooks, but I write down a bunch of ideas on the corner of my list before I actually start making the list, and then I can refine it from there. If I see that maybe I have 3 different Mexican style meals, I'll try to pare down, but brainstorming is where it starts. I think, what sounds good to me? I usually have no shortage of foods that sound good, and that's what I use as my jump off point. Number 3, I take into consideration my family's preferences, their requests. Usually I'll have 1 or 2 family members that'll have a meal request. I definitely take that into consideration. If I don't like it, I will plan something else that I want and still make my family members' requests. There are 5 of us in this family. I don't need to be the only consideration every single day. However, because I only eat 1 meal a day, if I don't want what they're suggesting, I will plan something else for myself. A very good example of that is my 6-year-old. If he makes a request, it's usually hot dogs and white cheddar mac and cheese. I don't usually want that as my 1 meal a day. So I will take the time to do a down day that day or plan something else for myself. I don't have any shame in that, but that's where meal planning comes in. I'm not stuck with hot dogs, mac and cheese, and not really enjoying my eating window if I don't want it. Because I take into consideration my family's preferences, a lot of our meals are build your own because my husband is picky. I have a vegetarian. My other 2 kids do eat meat, but not all the time. So it really helps when we have meals like buttered chicken where you can put your own cauliflower rice, your own chicken, your own paneer. You can kind of build the bowl that you want. Personally, I put a lot more sauce and chicken than my, of course, vegetarian daughter does. Number 4, and this one is super important, consider what's going on in the week. Do you have 2 out-of-town sports games? That happens to us when my daughter's playing basketball or volleyball. On those nights, I know I need to plan quick meals. I need to plan things that can be done in advance or quickly and that can be eaten and picked up quickly. So consider what's going on. Sports, practices, my husband working late, family events. Those are the big things that go on in my life that I have to consider. If we're going to my in-laws, of course, I don't need to plan a dinner that day. So take into consideration everything that's going on in your week as you start to plan, because you don't want to plan 6-course meals and then realize you don't have days to accommodate the time you need to make those. So considering your schedule is really important. So once you have your brainstormed ideas, your family's requests and preferences, and you know the schedule for the week, then you can actually make your firm meal plan and make your shopping list according to those meals. One thing that I do is, even though there are 7 days in the week, I usually only plan 5 or 6 meals because schedules change, we end up with leftovers, and if we end up needing a bonus meal, my pantry always has things that we can clear out. So leftovers or pantry meals or the last minute going out to eat or plans that change usually fill up 1 or 2 nights a week. So I don't need to plan and buy for 7 meals. That's one way that I reduce waste. That's one way that I use up what's in my pantry. And that's one way we use up leftovers. No one in my family absolutely loves leftovers, but if I take the time to make it and we spend the money, I'd rather us consume what I made than it go to waste. Another great thing to do as you are making your grocery list, consider what you have on hand. That's another thing that can be part of the brainstorming even. If you know you have half a head of cabbage, maybe plan a meal that uses cabbage. If you know that you have carrots that they're not quite bad, but they don't have long to live still, make a meal that has carrots. That's one thing that I like to do in my brainstorming, is consider the things that I have on hand. It helps to reduce waste, and it actually sometimes gives an inspiration. If you open your fridge and you see what you have, you think, oh, I have half a can of black beans. We could have burrito bowls this week. It's just a great jumping off point. So you make your grocery list, you firm up your meal plan, and what's next? You go to the grocery store and you buy your ingredients. I like to meal plan mainly shopping out of Aldi. Having a store that I go to weekly, it allows me to be very comfortable with the store. I know how to shop. I can efficiently shop there. And then I buy my other items, usually at Walmart grocery pickup. Whatever I'm not able to get at Aldi, I schedule a pickup, and it's pretty easy. That's where I get things like water chestnuts, sriracha, things that aren't sold at Aldi, but we keep on hand here. Walmart grocery pickup 9 times out of 10 is how I fill those up. And number 7, this is a very obvious part of meal planning, you actually make the foods. Cooking. Now here's one thing that I want to point out. When I do meal planning, I don't say Monday we have to have this dinner, Tuesday we have to have this dinner. I just plan a week of meals. The only exception to that is when I have, say, an hour drive to get to a volleyball game and we're there for an hour and then we drive home for an hour. I know I'm not going to be able to fit one of the larger, more time-intensive meals. So sometimes there are meals that are planned very specifically for a day, but I plan for an entire week, not day by day, and you have to keep it a certain way. So that's it. Meal planning is actually quite simple, and the longer you do it, the easier it's gonna be. It's gonna feel very routine, and it won't be a chore that you have to do anymore. I actually quite enjoy meal planning for the week. It's something I really look forward to because, spoiler, I really like my eating windows. And here are some tips, even though they're not in the steps, here are just tips that make it easier. Number 1, be flexible, give yourself grace. If you plan to grill burgers and have sweet corn and homemade French fries, but then you're tired and you end up calling in a pizza, guess what? Things happen. You can move that entire meal to next week's meal plan. Just make sure you freeze the meat if you have to, take those steps. But it's okay to shift. If you plan for 6 meals and you move one of them over to the next week, guess what? You just cut your week planning the next week. It's a little easier. You have one of the meals. So it's not a big deal. Be flexible and don't feel like you failed. You're still saving yourself a lot of work, even if you don't execute it exactly as you plan. Again, I mentioned it before, don't forget about leftovers. There is a reason I don't plan 7 meals for every 7-day period. Leftovers are gonna happen, things are gonna shift. I plan 5 or 6 meals with the hopes that leftovers or pantry we're going out to eat are gonna take care of one of the other nights. By the way, if I do know I'm going out to eat, I do consider that part of my meal plan. If I know we're going out to celebrate my daughter's birthday, she's more than likely gonna pick Qdoba, I put that on my meal plan, Qdoba, just because it's a placeholder and I'm accounting for it and I am taking it into consideration as I plan the rest of the stuff. Because if we're going out to Qdoba, I probably won't plan nachos as one of my other dinners for the week. So yes, if you know you're going out and you know that meal is accounted for, I still put it on my meal plan because you want to consider everything that you're eating as you make the rest of the meals. Does that make sense? Here's another tip. Be creative. Make sure that you are hitting a variety of tastes and flavors and cuisines. I actually really try to hit these main things, like a meat and potato type meal, a pasta meal, a Mexican taco-y type meal. I really like to have either like an Indian dish or another Asian dish where it's like rice or lo mein. I try to hit a variety of flavors. Pizza's almost always on our meal plan. Breakfast is another one, but I try not to have like 3 breakfast meals and 3 taco meals because then it's overwhelming. But when I had a variety of flavors, when I have a variety of textures and tastes, and actually a variety of ease, some meals take more effort, some meals are easier. It just makes my week more enjoyable and I get variety day to day. Another tip I have for you is keep a running list throughout the week of things that you need to replenish. It's really annoying when you get to your meal plan and you go to make, say, biscuits, but you don't have baking powder. I often would forget about staples because staples are always on hand. You don't have to replenish those. Welcome to adulthood. You're the one that replenishes the staples that never run out. So when you're running low on sugar, keep a running list, because you may not think of it as your meal planning that you need sugar for a recipe or baking powder or baking soda, but you need to keep your staples in stock. So one way that I keep a running list is my Amazon Alexa. I tell her, Alexa, add baking powder to the shopping list. I'll add, Alexa, add eggs to the shopping list. Alexa, add eggs to the shopping list.
Eggs added.
I already had both those on my shopping list, but you get the idea. When you ask her, then you can pull up your Amazon Alexa app, you can go to your shopping list, and I take all of the items and I add them directly to my shopping list. It saves a lot of time, it saves energy, and it keeps my staples actually in stock. So there you have it. Meal planning can seem overwhelming. Having an eating window with foods that you look forward to that are satisfying are gonna make fasting easier, and that's why I take the time to meal plan. It gives me peace of mind, it makes things easier, it makes things more efficient, it helps me to reduce food waste, and it always keeps me satisfied in my eating window. See meal planning in action in this video. You can see my grocery haul and my meal plan at the end, and I also share all the recipes that I mentioned in my meal plan right here from my grocery channel, Grocery Addict. Thank you so much for watching. Chow down and chow.